Thank you.
Welcome back. Last few weeks of the year, busiest for a superintendent.
We always say right after spring break, it's a sprint to the end. And it is. It goes really fast. We got prom coming up. We got graduation coming up. A lot happening. Oh, and then we throw in spring sports.
Yeah. Well, this is for the first time in 3 years, 3 school years, that things are going to have really a more of a normal look into the school year.
We hope so, yes.
Yeah.
No, it's we've done some creative graduations the last couple of years. Last year was a lot of fun. We did it on the football field, and the weather was very cooperative, thankfully. But this year we're going to go back indoors to our gymnasium, and we're going to graduate the kids right out of the high school, and we're excited about that. So it's going to have some normalcy back.
And the prom, the kids will be able to be closer than 6 feet apart when they dance.
Yeah.
You know, did they really follow that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
When's the prom?
I believe it's the second Saturday in May.
Do you go to the prom? Does the superintendent go?
He stops by,
Okay.
but he doesn't have dance moves like he used to, so he doesn't want to hang out.
I didn't know if there's a tradition like the first dance, like at a wedding, if the superintendent does something.
No. I laugh. The first prom I took my wife to was actually after I student taught. So we chaperoned a prom when I was working as a parapro in Gwyn once upon a time, and so I took her to prom.
Did kids think you were students? Were you mistaken for students?
I had to keep an eye on her because she kept getting asked to dance. And,
all right, well, good luck to all the class of 2022. How many in the class this year?
we're right about, thanks for asking, 210-ish, I believe.
Okay. It's a pretty healthy sized
Yeah,
class.
it's a good sized class for us.
Then you've just gone through kindergarten roundup, lining up new Panthers. How'd that go?
We had 2 days last week. We get 2 more days this week for our kindergarten roundup. And it's going well. We seem to be on track with our usual numbers. It's one of those where it's exciting to see those little kids come in. And I stopped over and visited a couple times last week, and some of them are just so eager, and some of them just that hiding behind mom and dad, just not sure what to expect. But a lot of fun to see the little ones getting excited about school.
Class of 2035, isn't that?
Wow.
Sound scary?
It does.
Yeah,
It does.
2035. Wow. And there were kids I've heard from parents that they waited to get their kids in person back to school that were scheduled to start pre-K or kindergarten in the last 2 years because of the pandemic. Is there some catching up, or how do you handle that when you're dealing with maybe a range of ages all popping into the same kindergarten year?
Yeah, several of our parents chose to keep their kids home, especially last year when masks were optional, or masks were required a year ago. This year it was optional. And as we get back to normal, there's a lot of catching up. One of the things we're seeing is kids forgot how to do school. And I know that sounds strange, but how to play nice with other kids, how to work with other kids, how to sit quietly, how to follow directions. And so our teachers have really had to reteach our kids, even our older kids, what school is all about. But we're really excited. We think it's going to be a good enrollment this spring and leading into next year, and excited to get these kids back to school and get the new crop in.
Good. We were talking this morning about Jackson College and their early leadership when the pandemic began, and I also think about the Western District when news first hit that we're going to have to close. You came up with a slogan, compassion over compliance, when dealing with how the district was going to deal with this, and it drew a lot of high marks from families in the district. Looking back, did that strategy get you through?
I think it did. One of the things that we ran into that first fall of the pandemic when we created a hybrid model, which allowed 2/3 of our population decided to come in person and 1/3 of our population stayed out. One of the challenges for our teachers, our teachers wanted to, well, I'm not getting through 100% of my curriculum. That's okay. That's okay. we don't expect you to do the job as usual. They had to slow it down and they had to adjust. And that's that compassionate part. Learning online is a different animal. Some people do it very well and some people struggle with it. That face-to-face is really powerful when you have a teacher in front of you that you can go and ask questions. You can read the teacher, the body language, understand things differently and better. So when we came up with that compassion over compliance, it wasn't only to help our kids, it was to help our teachers, but also our families. And I think it went well. We were strong supporters of we will follow mandates in the county. Whatever the health department mandates, we will follow. And we did that this year as well. And I think that's worked out for us. I know there was a lot of skepticism on both sides. Some people thought we should be a little more strict. Some people thought we should be more lenient. But I think following the mandates and giving parents a lot of choice, I think was powerful within Western.
Good. I think if a pandemic happened when I was in high school, I would have had a hard time with online learning, mainly because there weren't computers. All right, tonight is the last in your series of bond meetings. For those who haven't heard yet, you're looking at changing how you deliver elementary education.
Well, next Tuesday, we have an election before our voters. And basically the proposal is we're looking for a 0 mil increase over our current millage rate. And we're just extending that out. So if we do nothing, we've talked about this before, if we do nothing in the next 4 to 5 years, our millage rate will drop. Now's the time where we can plan and address our elementary schools, which are 60 to 70 years old. And so the plan would be that we would create a centralized campus near the high school, middle school. In fact, right across the street, right across Deering Road, we got 35 acres the district already owns. So we would bring all those kids together. We would create pods, hallways, clusters, call it whatever you want. So you have schools within a school. So your community is going to become that class of 2045 or that class of 2040. So kids will really get to know each other well. Yes, you're part of a bigger community within that school, but again, you have a hallway that's dedicated per grade level, and we expect and anticipate that there's going to be a lot of collaboration and a lot of connecting with their peers as they move up through elementary school.
And the cost, as you said, because you have a millage already in place, a yes vote is not going to increase the taxes.
Let's rephrase that. A yes vote will not increase the millage rate.
The millage rate.
I can't control assessments. So if you buy a house or you get your house reappraised or the township does an assessment adjustment, I can't control that. But what we can say is that this is a 0 mil increase on the current rate, which is 7 mils right now. So that'll impact whether you own a $100,000 home or a $500,000 home. That 7 mils is the anticipated continuation.
We had someone at our production meeting this afternoon that said, a brand new school, no increase in millage, why wouldn't you vote yes? Would you like his address, his name? Maybe he can move in your district.
And I understand. There are people that, anytime you have an opportunity to lower your taxes in the future, that's appealing, that's attractive. But at the same time, we're investing long-term in our community. And I think that is only going to improve property values in the long term. People like Western, for the community that we create, Parma, Warner, Bean have been wonderful for our community. But they're 60 to 70 years old. They're very tired buildings.
Yeah, I won't say which one, but one of them looks, it looks even older than that. And I don't think there's anything you could do to it if you had to. But it's used its life of usefulness.
In the district, the last significant improvements we put into those elementaries was 1996. And I was thinking about that one day and I thought, well, that's not too long ago. And then I thought, wait a minute, that's 26 years ago. That's a long time. And, so roof systems and heating systems and pipes, things like that need to get replaced. And in those buildings, a lot of that infrastructure, especially when it comes to plumbing, is buried in concrete. It's not like you can go in your basement and just rerun some copper tubing. So there's some significant things we'd have to do to those buildings if we renovated them. And the other factor is we still have issues with parking and traffic outside them. So, take for example Warner. How do you create a secondary access and alleviate some of that traffic on Star and M60? Well, if we renovate that building, I got to turn around and we got to figure out, okay, can we buy someone's property? And then what do we do with their house? And if they know we need it, the price goes up. So there's a lot of factors here, but we really believe by vacating those buildings, yes, the plan is that they would be demoed at some point, and we want to return it to green space. And then what the board, 4, 5, 6 years down the road, whenever that time comes, my guess is that we would look at selling the property and hopefully either become nice park space, business space, or even residential space, which brings new housing, feeds the tax base in our community.
Well, all 3 schools are in neighborhoods, so that certainly could potentially be new housing development. What's the timeline if the voters approve this?
If the voters approve this, we're looking at the design phase, which will go from within weeks after the millage to all the way to probably December of this year, hopefully. Once we have a design, then we turn to our construction manager and we go out for bids. So we could go out for bids maybe as soon as January, February of 23.
Oh, wow.
And then, we're hoping to put shovels in the ground in a year if this passes. That's our hope.
Well, we saw how fast new buildings went up with JPS. It's a pretty fast process. It can be.
Well, it can be. A lot of that's supply chain. A lot of that's the labor force available. But in this process, we would love to see our local contractors get involved. We definitely want to feed the local economy. We're bound by what is called the least responsive bid. So, I'm responsible to taxpayers. So if I can get a roof done for $100,000 and the local guy's charging me $200,000, I'm responsible for doing what's best for the financial aspect of the project. And so we really want our local contractors to get involved in this, and the Jackson County Contractors Association will be approaching them if we have a successful passage and letting them know about bid packages and hopefully even tailor some bid packages. So, I might be a small shop and I can do a small component. Maybe things can be broken up to allow local contractors to get some of the work.
Well, I know you've been involved with JCCA. In fact, I've seen you at meetings, and I know you're already working with them, so that's good news for the local economy. Great to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Oh, great to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
All right, you bet. Superintendent at Western Schools, Mike Smida. Up next here on JTV, we'll get an update on all the grants and other activities of the Jackson Community Foundation. Monica Moser, the CEO, is joining us next. Stay tuned.